welcome to Starting Up. This week we come to you from Bo Concept. It's a Danish furniture store here in Mumbai. We've got an action-packed show for you, including an exclusive chat with Dennis Crowley. He's the co-founder of Foursquare. All of that and a lot more coming your way over the next half hour. On the show today, an interview with Dennis Crowley, the founder of Foursquare. On Super Angels, Twitbuck makes its pitch to Super Angel Mahesh Murthy. And finally, a group of wannabe entrepreneurs training from one of the best B schools in the world. We head to the INSEAD boot camp. In many ways, he's responsible for the location revolution that took the technology world by storm. We're talking about Dennis Crowley, the co-founder of Foursquare. It's a service that combines social networking, location awareness and game mechanics. Sonali Krishna caught up with Crowley in Cannes. Here he is. Dennis Crowley, the founder of location-based mobile platform startup Foursquare, has taken both consumers and local brands by storm over the last 2 years. Foursquare today boasts of 10 million users and commands a valuation of $1 billion. Clearly, without a doubt, Foursquare is one of the hottest and fastest growing startups across the globe, and its success has so far been truly path-breaking. We caught up with the co-founder and the CEO of Foursquare himself, Dennis Crowley. Take us through the early days of Foursquare. The service was called Dodgeball, I believe, which you sold to Google. I believe they couldn't really leverage it as well as you, and they didn't have the vision that you had for Foursquare.
Well, there's two different products, right? So going back to I've been working in the space for almost 10 years. And, it started a company called Dodgeball right out of grad school that we did bring to Google. And, Dodgeball was about just knowing where your friends were at all times and seeing if that made cities a little bit more interesting. We weren't able to get it to work as well as we wanted to at Google. And when I eventually left Google, I was still in love with the idea of making this stuff happen. And, we waited a couple years and really tried it again. And that's where Foursquare was born.
You bet big on location before most. What convinced you about the power of location and location services?
Yeah, well, we've been, I've lived in New York a little bit more than 10 years. And, it's not so much location that, is super interesting to me. It's trying to build things that make cities easier to navigate, building things that make the world easier to navigate. And in order to do that, it helps if you know, the location of where your friends happen to be, where interesting things in cities happen to be. And, if you think of these things as like dots moving on a map, how do all those dots intersect?
Were you surprised in 2009 as to how quickly brands adopted to Foursquare?
Yeah, well, I guess we started Foursquare in the beginning of 2009. I guess it took us about to the end of the year where we started getting our first brands experimenting with the platform. And yeah, we were super surprised by that because, we didn't build it for that. We built it for our friends. And then it started getting bigger, 100,000 users, 150,000, 200,000 users. And that's when we started seeing merchants and brands start to get involved.
And did you expect location to do so well?
Not really. It's like, we never thought the service would get as big as it has right now. Like,
right.
We hit 10 million users earlier this week, and that's a huge milestone. Like, I didn't think we were ever going to hit 1 million users, never mind 10 million users. And for us to do it in 2 years, it happened very, very quickly. We're very satisfied with the growth.
Advertising is one big revenue model, and you've signed up with brands like Domino's and Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
You're also looking at merchandising.
Yep.
What's the revenue growth plan for Foursquare going ahead?
Yeah, so the revenue plan is really to enhance the tools that we've already created for local merchants. So we've created this platform that we call the Foursquare Merchant Platform that enables any bar, restaurant, store, coffee shop, whatever, to come and claim their business. Once you claim your business, you can start, you can run specials against it. A special can be, hey, you get a free ice cream on your first check-in, or you get 10% off your bill on your 10th check-in. And we enable merchants to do this stuff for free. We have about 400,000 merchants that have signed up for this already. Right now, all these tools are free. Anyone that's watching this program can sign up if they have a business. But eventually, what we'd like to do is make more robust versions of the tools, to have a little bit of targeting in there, to have greater rewards built into them, greater stats, and more data points behind them. And I think when we start launching some of those pieces of the puzzle, then we'll be able to monetize those parts.
One big challenge for Foursquare is the big social media networks that are also looking to get into location. Mm-hmm. For instance, Facebook has already launched location.
Sure.
Google has big plans in this space. How do you plan to deal with competition in this very crowded market?
Yeah, our thing is it's to focus on what we what we think the product should turn into, and to focus on our roadmap and our vision for it. It's very easy in the space to get distracted by what a lot of other players are doing, whether they're smaller players or larger players, especially when they start focusing on some of the stuff that we find to be very interesting. But I think one of Foursquare's core assets is location is the one thing that we do really well, and it's really the only thing that we're doing. And it's not part of something much larger. I think that the experiences get a little bit watered down when they're part of a much larger product.
So, yeah, with $10 million, it's rumored that your valuation currently is at $1 billion. A lot of people are looking to acquire you, look at equity at Foursquare. It all makes great sense for them. But what's the future roadmap for Foursquare? When are you looking to, maybe offload some part of Foursquare, maybe exit? What's the plan there?
Yeah, so, as a company and as the CEO of the company, I'm really just focused on making the product as great as we can, right? Because great products are successful no matter what they're doing. We can find some way to figure those things out. We raised a round of financing last summer, and so the company is still in a very strong capital position right now, which gives us plenty of flexibility to do all the things that we want to do for the product, and gives us plenty of room to experiment with different monetization models. So we haven't really been focused too much on what the exit is going to look like. We've been focused a lot on trying to put Foursquare in the best position to succeed, which is dealing with different partners, growing the company, growing the product.
It's a very interesting time in the Silicon Valley. We just saw $6.3 billion linked in IPO. Facebook's got a valuation that's pegged at $50 billion. Lots of people are saying that 2000 is coming back all over again. Do you think it's a coming of another dot-com bubble?
The bubble stuff is a weird word. I lived through the events of 2000, and then it happened again in 2004. Not again, but there was a similar wave of startups. I think what's different this time around, there's a couple things. Number one, coming from New York is a very exciting startup scene right now. There's a lot of people that have done this before. There's a lot of really interesting startups that are taking advantage of media and mobile and advertising, which is really exciting. Second of all, it's a lot cheaper to get one of these businesses off the ground. You don't have to raise $50 million to get this off the ground. Naveen and I were able to do this for 6 months, almost independently, before we raised $1 million as our first round of financing. So it doesn't take a ton of money to get something started. And the third thing is there's real revenue models behind and real monetization plans around a lot of the ideas now, in a way that just didn't exist, I think, 10 years ago. I mean, it helps that there's 10, 100 times as many people on the internet, and that people are, look around here, people are on their phones all the time, they got their mobile devices, everyone's on their Wi-Fi. People are just accustomed to doing things online. And people are just more familiar with the space in general. So, even though some of the numbers might look similar, I think the things that we're building and just the climate in general, it's completely different.
Your co-founder is Indian. So is there any plans to become more aggressive in India in the foreseeable future?
Yeah, this is stuff that we talk about all the time. We have very ambitious international goals. We have a mobile business development person that's been talking to a lot of the different mobile carriers in India, and we've been trying to find a way to work into that market. Naveen, I don't think has been back there just because we've been back to India just because we've been so busy working. But I'm sure next time he makes a trip there, there'll be a lot of excitement, and we'll have him, line him up for a bunch of talks and try to get people really excited about what we're doing.
Lovely meeting you, Dennis. Truly a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, looks like Foursquare has some competition here. GeoSocials, a Puducherry-based mobile social network, is in the prototype stage and is looking to launch real soon. Okay, we'll take a break here on the show, but coming up, on Super Angels, can a startup build its business around the power of Twitter? It's Tweetbuck on Super Angels.